Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a very special update report from Lifeforce. So today with me is Dr. Richard Presser, who is Australian through and through, and he's going to talk to us with his expertise on a product that I believe can actually help fix the issues that we're having, not only with COVID-19, but the issues we're having more accurately, I would say at this time, with the vaccines themselves. So also with me, as always, is Lisa. And just to make sure that Richard doesn't step too far in the wrong direction, make sure this product is legit. We also have a medical expert on the line as well, who will be reviewing everything and critiquing every word that comes out of his mouth. Okay, so with that being said, Dr. Presser, how are you today?
I'm very well, Tank, and thank you for the opportunity to share a little of this extraordinary product with your audience.
So let's talk about this product now. You are a businessman. You had an extensive experience with many things, right? And you realize that we're in a moment of change, basically. Talk about that, first of all.
Yes, I have walked the journey which has had me involved in business and in spirituality and many things really leading to this time. And in my opinion, we are walking through a transformational moment, not just on this planet, but indeed across all of creation, where those that I would loosely call the dark are being eliminated from creation. And so this planet is a very special place and is performing a very special role, which in my understanding is really the final point at which that darkness is cleared from all creation. So it's a special moment.
I would have to agree with that. That is a very special moment. So for those of you who don't realize that we are, under siege by dark forces, look around you, wake up, open your eyes. We're hoping that this video goes out and kind of wakes people up a little bit, because we have people with some very serious problems right now. And you have been working with Raghu, or Mr. Raghu, or Dr. Raghu, who created this product, this NanoSoma product. Now, can you explain why this product is important right now, which I know is a big task, but why do you think it's important? Because you actually said to us recently, which I thought was a very bold statement to make, to say, you don't really need any other supplements if you're taking this. Why?
So to answer that, I need to place a broader perspective on what this is. This is the active ingredient in NanoSoma is a nano emulsion of polycosanol. Now, polycosanol is very commonly in our unrefined foods, particularly raw sugar, raw rice, and peanuts, and many other things. As Raghu says, it's in the sun-splashed areas of most plants, so it's quite common. And because this is a lipid, it's older than biological life. And the reason I say that is we can't have biology without the lipids creating an envelope within which that biology can exist. So the envelope of a virus, of a cell, and even of us, our skins are lipids. And so the lipids play a role to encase biology on every level. Without that encasement, there is no biology. So this is older than biological life. And what's fascinating is we had a Zoom call in early January where there was actually a fellow Australian on there, a woman called Lorraine Mill, who describes herself as a master intuitive. She started out as a medical intuitive and has gone way beyond that. And she was able to witness what this little particle does in the body. And at the end of what she described, she said, this particle doesn't come from here. And I'm satisfied that this little particle brought the blueprint of biological life to this planet. And so it's important to understand that perspective. This has been connected to our biology forever. And in a way, it's been whispering to us in our food all the way along, because it forms it's been part of the polycosanol that's been in our food, albeit in a small quantity. And so it's had that profound relationship with our biology forever. And so it's interesting because this product was known to our ancestors. It's described in the Indian spiritual text, the Rig Veda of 5,600 years ago. And indeed, it's somewhere Raghu had to look to be able to make this product. So there is that.
Wait. Hold up. So you just dropped a whole bunch of knowledge. Let me just slow you down for a minute, okay? So say it again, the Ayurveda, right? Which is the holy text.
The Rig Veda, not the Ayurveda, the Rig Veda, which is a Indian spiritual text. This product is described in the Rig Veda, not word for word. And the reason Raghu had to look there is because when he'd figured out what to make, but the efficacy was not where he wanted it to be, and the particles were clumping. He wasn't sure what the issue was, and he decided to ask a Vedic scholar friend what the word was in the Rig Veda which described this product. And his friend came back and said, there are 280 words for water in Sanskrit. I can't imagine that. It leaves the Inuit and ice and snow in the starting stalls. And he said the particular word that's used is pristine water from the mountains. In fact, quite specifically, it talks about the meltwater of Mount Kailash, which is in Tibet these days, or China, effectively. And so it turns out you need to use glacial meltwater to make this product. And so Raghu has found 4 countries where he can make it: Austria, Switzerland, Norway, and New Zealand. And I expect there will be others as we start looking in due course. But this product is made in Switzerland. And lo and behold, when Raghu began to use that water, suddenly the product was working the way he understood it would work.
Richard, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Lisa.
Is that due to a high mineral content in that glacier melt off?
You know,
one of the contributors,
I can't say fully. I suspect it's a factor. But again, coming back to Lorraine Mill that I mentioned earlier, in a conversation I had with her, she said to me, if you want to understand why that water is important, I can tell you. She said there is a structure to that water when it's formed in that glacial state and then melts that is critical to the function of the product. I have not looked at it further. I suspect the mineral content is important, but also the energy of the water is critical.
Sure. So this came up actually, I'm up in Colorado right now, and there's some pretty majestic sites here and a lot of, melt off in water, right? And there is water that's actually been sought after in a place called, up near Purgatory, which is actually believed kind of to be the actual purgatory, this kind of a energetic connection between heaven and hell, right? And in this, there's actually springs and things like that and lakes there where the water is actually, I guess, like H9O or something like that, right? Where it's a whole different level of water, much like what you're speaking to. Now, I'd never heard, Kim was the first person I ever heard actually explain that on that level, on a molecular level. But she says this is the same water that they sought after for the Fountain of Youth, which sounds like the same type of water that you're describing. That this actually has the ability to restore our natural blueprint to the body. I mean, it sounds like this is a protein, or this lipid that you're describing is something that is kind of the fundamental principles of our own kind of creation, or the origins, so to speak.
No question about that. And it's important that we don't think it's the water that's doing this. The water is really a carrier for the product to enable it to be stable in this nanoparticulate form. This particle has a particle size which is plus or minus 1 nanometer in size consistently, and it's been shown to be stable on the shelf for 8 years in that state. And so the role of the water is not in and of itself producing the outcomes. What it is doing is acting as a carrier for the nanoemulsion of polycosanol. It's the little nanoparticle that's the key. And as I said, it's been, you might say, whispering to our biology, to our bodies all the way along. And so to get back to your question, why is it important in this time? If you understand what this is doing, it's acting like the key to the functioning of our bodies that we didn't know was missing until it turned up. It truly is that profound. And this relationship, as I said, is as old as biological life itself. It's not some new discovery. It's a rediscovery of something that's very old. And so this, you might say, whispering to our bodies, to our biology, has been going on throughout life until we refined our food. I say we in a broad sense. And
we as in not us, right? But it has
correct.
happened. Yes, right.
Correct. And so this has limited, the refinement has taken this completely out of the food, whether intentionally or otherwise. It's been the outcome. And certainly, in my opinion, it's amplified the other health effects that we've begun to see from various other sources. And what happens is when you put this back in, as Raghu describes it, it's like the Godfather particle, or the God particle of biology, as my marketing man has begun to call it. When you put that back in the body, it activates pretty much everything in the body. There is nothing that's in our bodies today that doesn't belong, that this doesn't trigger the body to clear. Let me be clear. This product does not heal or cure anything. Really important. What it does do is it activates the body to take care of itself in ways we didn't imagine was possible. This triggers the body to clear, as I said, everything, all pathological viruses, fungus, bacteria, yeasts. It triggers the body to clear heavy metals, anything that doesn't belong, any interference with our DNA, whether it be genetic, whether it be environmental, whether it be man-made. It doesn't care. And it's one of the things that Lorraine described in her description of the product. She said, I can witness the DNA. She said, I don't know what DNA is because I've never studied it, but I can see it. And she said, I see, when I hold the bottle in my hand, I can see gaps in the DNA and they get healed. And I see things that shouldn't be in the DNA, they get cleared. This is exactly what we understood. And going a little deeper with this, we have something like 48 or 9 nuclear receptors in our cells. You might say it's the control system of our biology. The most important of those perhaps is the vitamin D receptor. And so this little particle does the same thing as vitamin D. It will turn the vitamin D receptor on. So you don't need vitamin D supplements anymore because this replaces it. But more than that, vitamin D can only turn on the vitamin D receptor. If the vitamin D receptor is overactive, vitamin D could do nothing, which is why we have diseases like Parkinson's disease and ALS and these cytokine storms that we hear about in relation to the COVID-19 infection and so on. These things occur because of an overactive vitamin D receptor. This little particle turns down or off the vitamin D receptor if it's overactive. This is unheard of. Nothing else does this. And so what this is doing is regulating the vitamin D receptor, which means health conditions that arise from an overactive vitamin D receptor are healed. So Parkinson's, the body will heal Parkinson's when you use this, maybe in 8 to 9 months, roughly speaking. But let me just finish, Tank, before you interject.
Okay, go ahead.
We have, as I said, 48 or 9 nuclear receptors in our cells. Raghu is satisfied that this is regulating all of them. Again, this is unheard of. Now, there are tests available for 27 of those, and for 22, the results are absolutely clear. It's regulating them. The last 5 are not so clear, but Raghu, from his gene analysis, is satisfied it's regulating all of them.
Wow.
And so you start to see why I say this is like the key to the functioning of our bodies that we didn't know was missing until it turned up. It has a profound relationship with our bodies, and it disappeared. And lo and behold, it's returned in the middle of this scamdemic. There are no accidents in my experience, life, and opinion.
So maybe now, I remember in biology, right? Like, you'd have to write out your answers. And what they would always say, if you don't know anything else, if it's a 4-part question, you always say it helps restore or maintain homeostasis in the body. Now, you're talking about this product and the body really not being able to maintain the natural balance of the chemistry of the body because of the food, the lack of nutrients, and the way this is interacting with our D receptor in our body all over, right? And this nanosoma is restoring that. So this is restoring not just the ability to turn it on or off, but actually to communicate intelligently with the body to do what's best for the health of the body. Is that right?
Absolutely. And in fact, the vitamin D receptor is not the only one that we need to be concerned about. We need to be concerned about all of them for the functioning of our body. The vitamin D receptor is the one we tend to focus on because it's so important in our immune system. But all the others are regulating different aspects of the body, whether it's the thyroid, whether it's, whatever organs. This has been shown to trigger the body to heal every organ it's been tested against. The general view is if you have a heart attack, you've got the scarring in your heart muscle for the rest of your life. Well, no, you don't.
That's brilliant. Now, okay, this is a big topic. I studied this extensively with heart failure. Now you have heart failure patients, basically you have a chamber of the heart, at least one that is dead. And then basically the rest of their life, they're kind of limited in their function and operation. Now, if this is stimulating the body's natural ability to heal itself, which is a very key language that's used by companies with incredible products because they don't want the FDA to come after them or whatever, which we don't answer to the FDA. The FDA is a non-government organization which does not regulate anything for us. The only reason why the FDA has any power is because doctors use insurance. Okay, just for the record, in case the FDA ever wants to come after me, feel free to bring it. I'm ready. So, but with that in mind, we always say it's the body is healing itself, right? This is not healing the body. This is just stimulating the body to heal itself.
Correct. Absolutely. And you talk about homeostasis. When you truly reestablish homeostasis, one of the things that happens is that this triggers the body to produce its own vitamin C. Again, unheard of. It's unheard of.
This is transmuting the substance already in the body then.
Correct.
So now that's incredible. Now this is really high tech. I mean, this is stuff that you hear about with frequency devices, like high-end frequency devices, also with scalar energy and things like that. But you don't really hear about it much in the form of just a simple product, which has no taste, right? I've been using this for about 2 weeks, by the way, Dr. Presser. I feel great, just for the record. I didn't have any particular issue, but I do, I pay attention to my body and I'm listening. And I'll tell you, I can see already the profound differences that I'm not going to discuss here, but I can already see the difference. So, and this has no taste. You spray it under your tongue 5 times, a day. In the beginning, you spray a little more, but it's harmless. I mean, no side effects whatsoever, right?
I will say that to experience no taste when you get started is unusual. It says a great deal about the balance of your body. Most people, when they start, find it a little bitter. And that's not about nanosoma. It's about the balance of their body. As they use it, this disappears. Some people find it a little soapy, some people a little like coconut, but it's about the balance of their body that's being communicated. The nanosoma is no different for them or anybody else. So the fact that you don't experience any reaction at all right out of the gate says a great deal about where the balance of your body is. You're as healthy as you look.
Trying. A little heavy right now. I got a little COVID poundage, but yeah, I'm working on it.
So, just on the vitamin C subject, what it does is, we get a lot of vitamin C from our food, but most of it gets oxidized. Science doesn't understand why the body makes a distinction between external sources of things like vitamin C or insulin, for example, but it does. I mean, it's recognized, for example, if you need to take insulin supplementation, you need to take about 20 times the amount the body would take to do the same job. Why? No one can tell you. Similarly, if you take vitamin C supplementation and so on, the body pretty much instantly throws most of that away because it says, this is not my vitamin C. You can only get vitamin C levels up to a certain level through supplementation. Doesn't matter how much you take, because the body simply oxidizes the rest. But the issue is when the body is in a state where it can take that oxidized vitamin C and convert it back into vitamin C, it says, this is mine, I know it. And so it's able to sustain levels of vitamin C when it needs to that you can never get from supplementation because the body is managing it for itself.
Now I remember talking to a doctor about this many years ago who was using scalar energy to do something similar, or at least he was trying to. And he was talking about how everything is there in the body. Everything you need is already there for the most part. And that you can take these molecules and just change one part of the molecule and it will serve a completely different function that's beneficial to the body. Whereas cancer, for example, is something that is, is basically a cell that's all consuming, right? It's grabbing other cells and devouring their energy. And that, you can add B17 to it if you have a good source, and it will break it up and transmute the energy to make it substance that's harmless to the body or more beneficial. Now, what are your feelings now in specific disease states? What have you seen thus far in your experience that is profound, that you're like, this is why you're so, sold on the idea?
Yeah, I will answer that in two ways. Firstly, there has yet to be a human health condition that this has been tested against that it doesn't trigger the body to heal without exception.
Repeat that again, please. That is a power statement. Say that again.
There has yet to be a human health condition that this has been tested against that it does not trigger the body to heal. And I will give you an example. We talked about the heart earlier. Raghu has had the research work done to confirm that it's triggering the production of the genes that are required to heal the heart muscle. There are 5 genes involved. By the way, it's been shown that this triggers a replica of the human genome to within 97%. I suspect it's 100%, and Raghu's triggered the work to look at it in more detail, but we already know it triggers a 97% replica of the human genome, which is why it can provide a mechanism for the body to heal the DNA. The body has suddenly got a reference. The reference point for DNA is triggered in the body by this product. So he's demonstrated that it triggers the genes required to heal the heart muscle. He's also demonstrated that those genes are producing the proteins necessary to heal the heart muscle. Lo and behold, within about 2 weeks of those results, I had one of my long-term customers call me up and say, my partner has just been diagnosed with major heart issues and they want to operate, but the surgeon says she's not well enough and wants to review it in 30 days. Have you got anything you could recommend? I said, well, you might have her take Nanosoma for 30 days. She may not need the surgery. I'm not promising you anything, but it's worth a shot. So the first cardiologist report showed that she had the largest blood clot in her heart that this guy had ever seen. And her mitral valve was in a very bad state. She had, I can't remember what it might be, rheumatic fever or something when she was young, which can often trigger heart issues as you age. So 30 days later, and she'd been using Nanosoma for that month, the cardiologist ran a second examination. The blood clot was completely disappeared and the mitral valve was about 90 to 95% healed in 30 days.
Wow.
You show these reports to a cardiologist, they say this is impossible. It can't possibly happen. But it did. And it's entirely consistent with what we understood was made possible by what Nanosoma is doing in the body. So it's truly profound. It's beyond imagination. And when you think about this, you realize that it's going to transform human health. It puts health back into the hands of everybody. So no longer can fear of health issues be used to control humanity, as is being done today. And you raise the nutritional supplement side of things. Raghu says, if you're eating reasonable food, there's no shortage of nutrition. The issue is that the pathways for both nutrition and energy into the cells have been compromised. One of the first things this does is repair the mitochondrial pathways for energy and nutrition into the cells. Bingo, it's done.
Wow. Now that's another mic drop. Okay. Because I mean, there's things like the Beamer, which has been around for many, many years, which actually helps with the microvascular circulation, right? And it's a great product. It's been around forever. It's very safe, and that's valuable, right? Because it's going to free up the microvascular circulation. But you're talking about on a cellular level, actually taking the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell, and opening the pathways. Now, this is a major problem with supplements all over, because there's a problem with the hemoglobin actually allowing, certain nutrition into the cells, right? So this is a problem. So you're saying this is actually addressing those pathways to open
Yes, it
that
is.
up.
Yes, it is. And it's why many people say, when I start to use this product, I feel a dramatic increase in my energy levels, because these pathways are being addressed. There's no energy source in this product. You understand?
Right.
This little particle is both conscious and intelligent. I'm very clear about it. And what happens when you put this in the body is it conducts a triage. The body effectively conducts the triage with the conductor of the orchestra present. And so what is life-threatening gets dealt with first. So if somebody has a really elevated blood pressure, that gets resolved in hours, quite literally hours. And I know a number of people have said to me, I start using this, I feel lightheaded. I say, well, that's probably because your blood pressure is coming down. I say, oh yeah, I do have an issue with that. And I can tell you personally, I didn't think my blood pressure was elevated, but the moment I put the first sprays in my mouth, I felt lightheaded. Raghu said, that's your blood pressure coming down. I didn't think it was elevated, but I had that immediate reaction, and some people do. So whereas if it's only slightly elevated, it can take 3 months to get resolved. If your blood sugar is off the charts, it gets resolved quite literally in hours. But if it's not,
your blood
That's
sugar.
huge.
So we were just talking about this. So you're saying that this is addressing even the issues that are being caused by diabetes.
oh, absolutely.
It
It eliminates that whole family of health issues. A little story that actually led to Raghu figuring out how to make the product. He went to India and was talking to an uncle who was in his 90s who hadn't had any kind of health issues for well over 40 years. And he said, what do you do? And he said, well, I eat the local unrefined rice from the village. If I eat a mango, I eat the skin as well. I use for sweetening, I use jaggery, which is the raw unrefined sugar, as they call it jaggery in India.
Yeah.
Has different names in other parts of that area of the world. And I sit in the sun for half an hour a day. And that very same evening, he ran into a guy he'd been at school with, and he was talking to him about this. And he said, I do some work for the local sugarcane factory. And it's interesting because it's only the management that suffer from metabolic syndrome, which is elevated blood pressure and type 2 diabetes and obesity and all these things. None of the workers do. And Raghu said, what's different? He said, it's only the management that are allowed to eat the white sugar. The workers have to eat the raw stuff. And there it is.
Wow.
There was the answer.
Oh, that's brilliant. Wow. What a great flip on the deep state, right?
It
Wow.
is exactly that. It is a great flip on the deep state. And I will tell you, my understanding, crazy though you might think, is that all of this has been planned before life on this planet began. This interference with our DNA was anticipated, and the answer is right there in this particle. Because it's no secret that these so-called vaccines, which cannot be vaccines, are interfering with our DNA. This will all be cleared.
So that is where we want to end things with this particular call. And this is very important for everybody out there. We're doing this because we know that we're about to have a surge of people that are coming and looking for answers about what do I do? I got vaccinated. Now I regret it. So
Yes.
talk about that a
Well,
little.
it's even more than that, because it's evident that there are a lot of people whose health is being impacted by coming into contact with people that are vaccinated. There is an interview which I can share with you. It's been taken off YouTube, but I saved it because I figured it would disappear, by a beautiful young woman in Canada who I think works as a doula or something of that nature. She's very heavily involved with women's health. And she is talking about how women's cycles are being massively interfered with by coming into contact with people that have been vaccinated. So it's not just those who've been vaccinated who are going to go, oh shit, it's the rest of us.
Yes.
And
Because-
and in my opinion, Tank, we have been waiting for this horrific experience to unfold such that this piece of magic can emerge in the world.
I do agree with that. I do agree with that. I think that all of this, all these horrible things that are happening are actually to bring out the best in humanity and for everyone to see what is actually possible when, when faced with the right obstacle. And I agree with you, Dr. Presser. I think that's a very elevated view on this, in my opinion, as well. So I'm excited to be able to bring out this product more. I mean, not that you guys have already been working with it, but I'm excited to give a little publicity to it and really talk about it.
Thank you,
It's a
Tank.
good product. Yeah.
This, I have a vision that this can be in the hands of everybody in the world in due course. Everybody deserves this. I don't have the answers to all of that, but that's my vision. Everybody in the world that survives what's going on deserves this, because not everybody's going to survive what's happening. I mean, people are already dying in droves from this so-called vaccine. I'm satisfied that it's a eugenics push amongst many other things. And there are a lot of people dying from the vaccine. And from what I can see, there'll be a lot more if we don't intervene over the next, 1 to 10 years. This is horrific what has been done, truly horrific.
So, Dr. Presser, I'm going to consider you a partner in this mission and pay no attention to that as my camera drops.
You fell off your camera.
Nothing happened. Nothing to see here. Okay. I'm going to consider you a partner in this because I really think it's important. That's what Life Force is all about. We're all about forming relationships to change the world. And I do very much think that this product is a product that will change the world. And thank you so much for making it available to us and taking the time to talk to us. And I'm going to come back to you and keep interviewing your whole team until everybody is aware of this product. However, I do want to say, I think you guys need to be more prepared. We're actually preparing a letter of intent to support the manufacturing of this product because we believe in it so much. And this is a product that I think will help people that are completely ignorant of this type of thing, who come out and that are scared about the vaccines. And that's just one example. I think it's going to do a lot more than that. So, Dr. Presser, I'm going to call you and do another interview here with you very soon. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing and taking the time to talk to us today. And we'll be in touch soon.